have someone mention to you that your child is not talking at the same rate as their child is, and they're the same age? Are you worried that your child doesn't seem to understand what you're telling him? And yet all of his other age group kids do. We're going to tell you about some great ideas to help you bridge that communication gap. We're going to talk about something called AAC for 0 to 5-year-olds. My name is Debbie Drennan, and I work at Parents Helping Parents in San Jose. I'm an assistive technology specialist, and I'm an early start resource specialist. And I don't want you to be afraid about this term, AAC. It's not so scary. All it does is stand for alternative and augmentative communication. And these tools can be very simple things you can use now to help your child bridge that communication gap that they may be experiencing if they are a late talker. So what does that mean? A lot of people get scared when you talk about communication tools. They're worried that, oh, well, won't that make it so my child doesn't talk? Well, let's address that myth first. So the first myth I'm going to talk about is using a tool will stop my child from trying to talk. If you give my child this tool, then my child will never become verbal. And let me just assure you, use of a communication tool has often been found to improve verbal language development. Now, 11% of the children did have no change in their speech output once a communication tool was introduced. But an amazing 89% had an increase in speech output. 89%. So you see, introducing a communication tool at these young ages can actually increase their verbal output. They can increase and make them help start talking. So it's worth trying. It's worth giving them that tool to try. Another common myth that we hear is, oh, my child is too young. They don't have the skills they need to use a communication tool. Let me assure you, there are no prerequisites for communication when using these tools. And this is a handy decision-making flow chart that was created by a wonderful AAC specialist named Rachel Langley. And it basically says, is this person capable of learning AAC? Are they breathing? Yes. Then they're a candidate. That's about all it takes. Because the key to learning how to use these communication tools is you, as the adults in their life, start using the tools as you talk to them. And this helps them learn what those tools are for, what the symbols or icons mean, and how to use it, right? So that's the real key. So not that there's a prerequisite, just that needs to be started to use with them. Here's another word, common myth. My child has a few words. It doesn't need any communication tools. It's not necessary. Does this sound like your child? He has a few words, but he is behind in terms of his verbal communication abilities. Or better yet, this happens a lot. Your child gets really angry and really frustrated, and suddenly he can't speak at all. All he does is scream. Even children who have language can benefit from using these communication tools. Because essentially, AAC interventions are used whenever individuals are unable to rely on their speech to meet all of their daily communication needs. And that's from the American Speech and Language Association of America, or ASHA. So even children with some language can benefit from these tools. Here's another common myth. Oh, my family's bilingual. The child's delayed because he's confused between the two languages being spoken to him. Here's the fact. In terms of developmental milestones, research suggests there is no difference between bilinguals and monolinguals, as long as both of the languages of the bilinguals are taken into account. So if your grandma speaks Spanish to your child, and you speak English to your child, and your child at the age of 2 has 50 words, some of them English, some of them Spanish, and he can put 2 words together, even if some of them are English and some of them are Spanish, there's no delay. They're fine. If they're not able to do that, then there might be a delay. And that's when you would consider introducing some of these communication tools to your child. But when do I consider? What did I just say? As soon as there is a delay in language, as soon as there is a delay in language development. You don't wait to age 3. You don't wait until 2 and they're not speaking 50 words or stringing 2 words together. As soon as you notice that, hey, you know what? My child is 1 year old and he's still not said mama. My child is 1 year old and I say, hey, where's dada? And he has no idea what I'm saying. My child, that's when you start introducing AAC communication tools to a child, when you notice a delay in language development, both what they understand and what they can say, because these tools help with all of that. So, what are these tools? Well, one of them is baby sign language. There are a lot of YouTube videos out there, and here's one, Baby Sign Language Basics, that I pulled just to show you that there's a lot out there on YouTube about teaching sign language to babies and using that as a tool to help bridge that communication gap. And this is a great tool because you'll know what more means. The baby knows what more means. The baby may not be able to say more, but they can sign more. Or they may not be able to say cookie, but they can sign cookie. So it's really a helpful tool while they learn how to become verbal. So this is a really great tool to think about is using sign language. Another really great tool are using picture symbols, and there's a ton out there. They can be photographs, they can be icons, and the set that you see on this slide is picture symbols or board maker symbols by you can find them through Toby Dynavox. You can organize them in different sets. You can have an I want board, a set for when it's bedtime. You can have the set for when it's eating time. And they can be used to create simple boards and visual schedules, which really can be helpful, as well as reinforcing basic literacy skills. And then you can also introduce voice output devices. And there's a lot out there. There's stuff that ranges from mid-tech to high-tech, and they allow the child to have a voice that they may not be able to have. And there's tons of different symbol sets and tons of different kinds of communication boards and tons of different communication books. So now you're overwhelmed. Like, great, what do I start with? How do I start? You start with what the child will use, what you feel comfortable using with your child. And there's lots of different ways to set things up. Whatever works for you and your family in your family routines. At this young age, 0 to 5, what's going to be most successful is what works in you and your family's routines. So pick a routine. Let's say your child is, for example, here on the right, there's a picture of calming down, how to help your child calm down. If this is something your child struggles with, that regulation of their body and their anxiety and their stress, then maybe that's where you're going to start, is with a visual schedule icon of how to calm down, and then visuals on how do you feel today, so they can start naming or seeing what they're feeling and learning how to self-regulate in a very visual way. Visuals are the way to go at this age. So there is no one tool to start with. Now, if you are going to be using photographs, which is a great tool to start with and cheap and easy to get, remember to do this. On the left, you'll see a picture of a toy, Mickey Mouse, right? It's very obvious what that toy is. In the right-hand picture, there is a Mickey Mouse in there somewhere in all of those other toys. So if you want to be very specific if you're taking pictures of items to make sure you target just that item and try to do it against as blank a background as you can, so that it is very obvious what that picture refers to. So that way the child knows what that picture refers to as well. So how do you start? That's a really great question. The easiest and the only way to start is for you as the adult to start using the tools, model using the tools with your child while you're talking. And the fancy speech term is aided language stimulation. I call it modeling. It makes more sense. So if you're going to be introducing, say, an I want communication board to your child using your photos that you've created, and you have different pictures of different toys, you will use that to say, oh, do you want to play with the yo-yo, or do you want to play with the toy car? And you're going to be pointing at those pictures as you say yo-yo, toy car, so that they understand here's a way for them to communicate back to you as well. And you do that without expectation. You don't expect them to immediately pick it up the next second and say, oh, yes, this is not what I'm going to be doing. No, give them time. And also give them time to figure out how to use the tool. 15-second rule is what I call it. So if you're using a tool and you're introducing that tool to them, you wait expectantly with the tool available for them after you've modeled the use of it, 15 seconds for them to respond. And that doesn't seem like a long time, but it is a long time. And count it in your head and wait expectantly. If they still haven't responded, then you do that again. And then if they're gesturing or if they're pointing or if they're getting up to go over to get the toy, that's okay. That's communication tool. So you just go and say, oh, I see you wanted the toy car, and you point to the toy car again. And then you go get the toy car for them. And you offer multiple opportunities to try out that communication board in different environments and in different activities and different routines in your home, because you don't know when it's going to click, right? But it's just like you never know when the child's going to first say mama or dada or baba. You don't know when they're going to start being able to use that communication tool as a way to communicate back to you. So you're always going to be having it available. You're going to be trying it out in different environments and in different routines to see when it clicks. So if you need to get more information about different communication tools, different communication systems, different icons, how do I get this? Where's the free stuff? Give us a call here at the Get an Early Start program at Parents Helping Parents. We can provide that information to you, and we can also give you some parent-to-parent support, because it's a little scary when you think there might be something going on, right? We also have on our website great e-learning packets that you can take a look at, videos as well as digital e-packets, is what we call them, that you can download and take a look at and watch a video and learn more about different communication tools and how to get started. And we also have a service we offer in our iTech Center called a Tipsploration, where you can bring your child in and explore some of these different communication tools and systems to see what might work best for you and your child. So we hope this video has been helpful for you as you explore this journey with your child.